I wanted to play football, and I sacrificed loads to do that. It just gets magnified in the media and in the press and just in people's minds where, hold on, your club record signing, why have you not done this, this and this?
Hi everyone and welcome to FBG, to the Players Lounge where the game gets down to business. Today we're welcoming in the Players Lounge somebody that I know a bit from different clubs and a very good player. Welcome to Matt Jarvis to the Players Lounge. Jarvo, how are we doing?
Yes, Seb, how are we doing? Yeah, I'm good. I'm very well, thank
Very
you.
well. So where you at? What are you doing? How's life at the moment?
How is life? I can't complain too much, if I'm honest. Yeah, I've got two kids. One's 9, one's 5, a boy and a girl. They keep me extremely busy. School is busy enough, let alone then having the after school clubs, the parent participation in school. There's a lot going on there. But outside of that, so I'm an ambassador at West Ham, so I'm there every home game pretty much. I do lots of different other events for them, and within the foundation, I was at the Lord Mayor's parade and stuff like that. Loads of different weird and wonderful stuff. I'm a director in a golf events company, which is pretty cool because I never really played golf when I played football, and now I'm like, why didn't I play golf in the afternoon like everybody else? I
Yeah,
would be much better. But
really? You play golf
yeah,
now? Oh my.
I'm trying to, yeah. So I'm trying to get into that.
Uh,
So that's really good. So we do UK events, and then we do we host the F1 teams at different Grand Prix events. So that's pretty cool. I mentor the Wolves Academy players,
yeah, we get to.
um,
We get to.
which is cool.
We
I am an advisor to a sports psychology app called Unlock, which is also really cool. I finished my CEO of a sports organisation course to get my qualifications to try and go into that side of the game.
easy time.
What else?
We get
I know.
easy.
I'm trying to. Yeah,
No,
no, slow down, slow down.
slow down. It's like you're not on the right wing or left wing when you know you're bombing down. No, slow down. No,
Now I need to be in front of goal. Just calm myself before.
no, get your head up. Relax. We get to no, but we get to all of that because for me that's very interesting. But what I want to do is just take you back a little bit. Your
Okay.
early, no, your early stages, Matt Jarvis when you was a kid. What was your mindset towards football when you were a kid? Just to set the scene,
Next stage.
set the stage, give a bit of context about how was Matt as a kid in terms of football.
Yeah. I've got an older brother. He's nearly 3 years older than me. So, as the younger sibling, obviously always played football. Football was always my number one. I did football, swimming, athletics, cross country. I was then really annoying kids at school that was good at everything. But I had that older brother that physically was, stronger than me. I played with him and his mates playing football, so I got used to playing with the older kids, I suppose, a lot earlier, which I think has had a massive plus on that early age and early development of trying to get used to the physical side of things. Because I wasn't a big, strong kid. I was a small, skinny little boy. I was quick, but that's a different side to it. But I used to always do I used to always work hard. That was my biggest thing. If I wasn't necessarily the best technically, I would work at it and I would work hard in the games and I would be over the park with, to be fair, very lucky. I had my family would be all out there. This is a true story. I would have like my mum and dad would be over the park with me. We had like fishing rods as cones. I'd be putting them in the ground and I'll be going in and out of the cones. I'll be zipping a ball out to my brother who was on the other side, who would then whip it back to me. I would go through the cones, put a cross in, and I had my brother and my dad like in the box, and my mum would be in goal, and he'd have to go and get the ball because we didn't have a net, so she would have to run and get the ball, and we'd start again. But that was me as a kid. Football was my number one. But if I'm completely honest with you, I really enjoyed the individual sports as a kid. because a team sport, I could rely on myself in an individual sport, but team, it was a bit more tricky at that age because although playing at school, I loved it, absolutely loved it. I was like central midfield. I was the dictator, the tackler, everything. And then when I played at my academy, I suppose I was at Millwall at the time. I didn't have the same, I suppose, not mindset, but the same sort of thing. I was on the wing. I was a bit more timid, a bit more not so much scared, but not as confident in my own ability as I was when I played, I suppose, locally or with my school.
You see, and that's a good point. Bear in mind the story about you and your family is I can easily picture it. Picture see you going in and out the cones, zipping the ball, get a crossing, as you've done in the Prem and throughout all your career. But when you talk about the difference that you felt playing in your local club or individual sports, and then when you were at Millwall, would you say that you felt? I'd say a little bit more isolated on the wing, because there's an image for me when you're in the middle of the park, when you're in the middle of center mid, you got everything. When you're on the wing, you got the line. It's almost that you're a bit isolated. You're not in the middle of everything. So that's
Yeah.
is that
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different aspects to that. 100%. As you know, I remember vividly, remembering like even the coaches, but more so my parents being like, you go in and out of games because you're just not in. The ball's on the other side and you're not involved. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not my fault. But then actually, and you start getting older and a bit more, you've got to demand it. You've got to either go and get the ball, or and I didn't really have that, I suppose, early doors. I would be, I wasn't the biggest vocal in the change room. I wasn't the same as wasn't as vocal as much in my early years on the pitch as well. But demanding the ball and just being able to get comfortable in that position, being out wide and relying on other people to pass me the ball. But then I suppose as you get older and you get more experience, you have to be like, look, give me the ball. I need the ball, otherwise I'm not as effective. But definitely in the younger age, yeah, I wasn't as confident in my own ability either in the, I suppose, in the academy sort of side as well. I think if I've got no regrets in my whole career, but I would love to have given myself a bit more confidence in my own ability earlier on. I think that would have helped me.
and is that one of the reason when you look back, because now it's easy to look back when you look back on our careers, even our development. We've got experience now, we've got wisdom.
Yeah.
Is that the reason why you had to go through some setbacks at Millwall? Talk to me a little bit about. I mean, you've started about those. This for me is a crucial time. Those setbacks
Yeah.
early, those that shape a lot of things in your career and in your mindset. How was it for you?
Seb, I could not agree with you more. That these little things, there's everything happens for a reason in my head. I was at Millwall for 7 years, so each year you know it's important. Each year you see friends leave, you see players leave, and you're thinking. And I got to 16 trying to get a YTS back then, and I remember it vividly. Walking in after the game on the Saturday, we all got called in one by one into the change rooms. I went in with my dad. There was four coaches. Short version, it was like no, yes, no, no, and I got released. And it absolutely killed me. It killed me. I was heartbroken. Like it was. I just when you get that close, and I've been there so long, I thought I've got this. Maybe I wasn't playing my best football, but I was playing. I was
Good
playing all
enough,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, and then it killed me. I remember the journey back home. My parent, I was just saying to mum and dad in the car, I was like, I just want to play locally with my mates. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to just go and play with my mates. But luckily for me, there was a Jill scout right outside the door after I got released, and he was like, "Look, we've got a game tomorrow. I'd love for you to come down and play. We've been looking at you. We want you to come." And I was like, "No, no." And you talk about setbacks, and I'm a firm believer in you can't just knock things off and be like, yeah, cool, move on. I think you need to process it. I took a little bit longer than I should have, but it took me 2 weeks. And luckily for me, the Jill Scout kept on calling me. Otherwise, I might have missed that boat. But I think you need a period of disappointment, of frustration, of sadness. I think you need that, and I've done that throughout my whole career with injuries, losses, whatever it is. I think you need a period of just being like, I'm really annoyed, gutted, angry, but then you've then got to turn it around and go, right, okay, done, let's move on. And that is exactly how I felt when I went. Well, I had to go on trial first, and I was rubbish on trial. Confidence had gone, but I must have shown bits and pieces of good play or something. And then I just got that. It was like an instant light bulb moment for me when I got offered the YTS. I was like, it was just incredible. And I went in, did my first year YTS. I moved into digs, lived away from home, moved into digs, and then so I got released at 16. I then did my first year YTS. My second year, I went on pre-season with the first team, who at the time Gillingham were in the championship. And then I did well in pre-season, scored in pre-season, and then I went on. And that season, I then played in the first team at 17 in the championship. And I was like, getting released, not good enough at 16 to then be playing in the championship in the first team in 17 was just a big flip, flip of a coin, light bulb moment, and that was me.
You see, that's for me. I'm always amazed about this mental side of the game because within not a second, but within a really short time frame, things change so quickly. And as you rightly said, things need to be processed. People don't want to take time to process things, but for me, the earlier you get these disappointment, this heartbroken moment, the better and the stronger it shapes you. Because regardless, you developing yourself, you're growing up, you're maturing, and that's what happened to you. So then fast forward, I, you, yeah, you started to play in the championship first team, and then came Wolves, right?
Yeah.
Wolves, but not necessarily on the football side. Obviously, we know, I know, and you know, we all know what you've been doing on the football side. But I want to get your mindset because now you start to get into the, I would say, what I call the deep end. We
Yep.
this is the deep end. This is nothing alike with what happened before, and you got exposed to the highest level, but in terms of what I call the art of football, what we're doing, the level is increasing, and also the business side of football, because now there's transfers, there's different things. How do you deal at the time with all those changes all together?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I had to deal with it a little bit of Gillingham because I signed my first pro in my second year, and then I signed like a three-year deal or 3.5 year deal. Um, but because we were doing well, and then we got relegated, and then I was like playing really well as team of the year in League One. But I didn't sign a new deal, and I was getting got offered a new deal. But I remember my dad just saying to me, look, don't even think about the money. Like, don't worry about that. You concentrate on playing, and then eventually it'll all start coming. And then I remember, like, I was on peanuts. I was on £225 a week until I left Gillingham, and I was there like 3 years. And then, so I'd actually sort of in my mind, I'd already done that. And then when I then went to Wolves, and then obviously played well. We then got promoted, and then I signed a new deal, and then you're starting to you understand the other side of things. And I think Jody Craddock, Jody, he gave me like he's gave me some really good advice when I signed my deal, and he was like, look. Were you happy when you got offered that deal, and were you happy to sign that deal? I was like, absolutely. And he was like, well, then it doesn't matter about anything else because then at the time other people were then signing, there was bigger deals getting done, doing this, and then but again, it's a mindset and it's understanding that the way the football works. But for me, the whole entire time I played football, don't get me wrong, you want to get what you're worth, and you do all that. My whole focus was playing. I loved playing. I loved the training. I loved the competing, the gym work, the everything. I know it sounds simple, but I loved it all. I really enjoyed that. So my whole thing, and you played with me at the end at Norwich when I was having a stinker with injury. It's the my determination to get back and to work hard and to get back and play was not money orientated at all. It was purely and simply on I wanted to play football. and I sacrificed loads to do that. And I think my mindset, going back to my parents, I know even though they didn't play football, they played a different sport. They played table tennis, and they were both England #1 table tennis players. My mum won the European mixed doubles with Desmond Douglas. So they had that experience of playing elite level, but just in a completely different sport. So I think my growing up and my mindset and just being drip fed from them was slightly different, and that hunger to do well.
But trust me, I'm telling you, for me and us having kids, having a sports background within the family helps a lot, regardless of the sports. Because my kids, for
Yeah,
example, today they're running track, but
yeah,
they can use my experience in football in because it's still high achiever world. It's still elite. So I think you and I can understand now. I understand it well because I can totally agree. Your desire wasn't I wasn't in your mind, in your brain, but your desire to come back and to do well, even when I came on loan at Wolves, and I could see that because and you were that type of player that if there's one thing we couldn't say about Matt Jarvis, like Matt Jarvis was a cheat, was a cheat. He wasn't giving in 100% and 110%. You you were that type of player, and I don't know, you were breathing that you were so authentic, and that's I think that's what made part of your success. But okay, you did really well at Wolves, so you made I think that's when really you put your name on the scene. You know, you were becoming that player. Now comes big, I would say, the record signing deal. The- And I just want to talk about the mental side of it, the business side of this deal, because this is
yeah,
another milestone. This is another type of pressure, expectation, the value. As we said, we all want to be paid to our what we call supposedly be our
yeah.
worth. You got a record signing. What happened in Marjavi's head, and how did you, once again, how did you approach that kind of pressure?
If I'm honest with you, Seb, I don't think you realise until it happens, because I never, record signing, whatever. It didn't really. I didn't think of it at all, because at that time at Wolves and then going to West Ham, my focus was playing in the Premier League.
Mm.
So I didn't think about record sign or whatever. It's only then when you go to West Ham, and I mean you've played at West Ham, you know the club, like they are passionate. The fans, they're just. I think even just being at a club in London, it's just magnified just purely and simply with media. If you do stuff at Wolves, you're doing this and that, and you do quite a bit. Then when you go to London, you're doing this newspaper, this, and it's doubled or tripled
People, yeah.
the size of it. So then to throw in being record signing, to then be thrown into, I literally, I think I trained once, I think maybe twice, Thursday, Friday, and I was straight into the starting lineup. And don't get me wrong, I actually played quite well in my first day game and did, but the pressure, you can feel it. People, you can. I didn't score for the first sort of I don't know how many games, and you can just start feeling that. Well, club record signing, he's not scored. And then you can start feeling that build up, and it was. I did feel it a lot, if I'm honest with you, because it magnified everything around me. If we didn't win on the Saturday and the team didn't play particularly well, and I had like a dinner with my wife in London, I wouldn't go. I would go home because I didn't want to be in a situation that I was out and I was spotted and people were you know just saying stuff that I shouldn't be out. Why am I out? We lost. We're doing this, and I just didn't want to put myself in that situation. I had to deal with that for about a year, and then luckily for me, Andy Carroll signed permanently and took that club record sign. And some players can handle it really well. Some players it doesn't affect. I wouldn't say it affected me to like performances on the pitch, but definitely it had like that added pressure of image of your to a degree performances. I suppose maybe I'm contradicting myself a little bit, but that was I wanted to do well in any case. It doesn't matter if I was club record sign, if I wasn't. I had that pressure on myself to do well, but it just gets magnified in the media and in the press. And just in people's minds, where hold on, your club record signing, why have you not done this, this, and this?
But
If I was a centre forward as well, if I've not scored, whereas I was a wide player, you sort of, they're like, well, why hasn't he scored? But hold on a minute, he's not necessarily supposed to, but he should be, and he's not. So I maybe got a little bit less.
yeah, you become an easy scapegoat, an easy target, especially when you have that tag on you because of the price tag. When things don't go
Yeah,
right, people are always
yeah,
looking for a way out, an excuse.
yeah.
So it's kind of easy to pick it on the record side because that's something that's
But
very shiny.
yeah, exactly. But I have to say, as I mentioned about performances, so my last year at Wolves and my first year at West Ham, I put in the most crosses in Europe and the most successful crosses in Europe. So I don't feel like that price tag weighed heavy on me because I still performed. I still did my role in the team effectively. And then, as I said, then Andy signed the following year permanently. So it was like
Thank you,
clean
Andy.
sheet. Like,
Thank you, Andy. But you know what? The thing is now, unfortunately, you've hit a lot of injuries
mm,
later on. I mean, with time going on, we've all had. Is what you doing now? Because you're mentoring player, you're an ambassador at West Ham and to other places. I mean, you are a big advocate for, I would say, transmission, giving back. In
mm.
you very generous. You were a very generous player in terms of effort. I remember because when you were fit, you were going up and down. You weren't stop. You weren't stopping at all. So is the injury situation that you went through, the stop start, going back to playing, putting a shifting, sacrificing a lot of things. Did that play a little bit into what you do after your career now? Does that play a role into the way you are even helping, impacting, and mentoring those young players, or even though to a certain extent to your role as ambassador because you want to give back? Just talk to me about it.
Yeah, I would say, as I said to you, I think everything happens for a reason. It molds who you are, and what I went through at Norwich was, for my own personal thing, was absolutely horrific. It's the worst thing I've ever had to go through in my whole life, let alone football. Having 4 operations in 3 years, not being able to walk without pain, not being able to play for 2.5 years, coming back from one injury, then getting injured in training before I played, then going back and going through the amount of injections and everything was awful. But I suppose it did shape who I am, and it made me at that time. You remember it, like there was lots of younger players in that squad that were starting to come through, and then we had like Jamal Lewis was coming through, Todd Cantwell was coming through, Ben Godfrey, both Murphy twins, Josh and Jacob were coming through. So I found myself in that role, helping them while I wasn't playing anyway. Maybe that is because I was injured and because I was sort of trying to think, well, actually, when I was young, I had lots of experienced players sort of helping me off and on the pitch. But because I couldn't be on the pitch, I sort of found myself just having a little chats with them and seeing what they thought. What do I think about them going on loan? How do I think that they should help? Go put their mind to maybe training or extras or what they do in the gym or what. So I found myself sort of doing that, and I actually quite enjoyed it. I think it maybe helped me take my mind off me a little bit as well. So once I sort of carried on and got myself back fit eventually, and then sort of got to the end, I then started carrying on speaking to these players as well. And I then was picking up other players, that just general conversations and just helping and giving them a little bit of advice, because I feel like I've got quite like, in a nice way. I feel like I've got quite a good name in football, with trustworthy as well.
Yeah, yeah, you can
I
say, you
wouldn't,
can
I
say. I
wouldn't, I
can
wouldn't
vouch
tell
for.
people.
I can vouch.
Yeah, I wouldn't. No, I'm not going to lie to people. I won't. I won't. I don't lie. And I try and like be honest with people, and I won't say. I'm not the one to stab people in the back or just say something for the sake of saying something. I would either be quiet or I'll say something. I'm not. So I feel like I've earned a little bit of a respect with players, so they come to me with something that I can genuinely give them an honest answer. Or I would, if they wanted to tell me something, I wouldn't necessarily then go and tell anyone else. I would keep it to myself. So I found myself doing that, and that's what I've then started to quite enjoy. and to try and help people. And plus, you know yourself, there's so many things that you've been through in football that if someone told you at 17, 18 that it would have just helped you, and then you wouldn't have to have got it at 28. You're just helping people, and you just, oh yeah, no, I've been through that, I've done that. Oh, well, you were in digs. Oh yeah, I've been in digs, I know what that's like. Oh, you want to go on loan? Okay, yeah, I've been on loan, I know how that feels. Oh, you out the team? I understand. Oh, you picked up an injury? I understand. Oh, they've signed another winger. I know what that feels like. So you can just be in their shoes a little bit, and I think when someone knows that you've been in that situation before, and it helps that you've had a decent career as well, and people can look at that and go, actually, he might know what he's talking about, and hopefully, whether they take it or they don't, that's up to them. But you can just give them that little bit of advice and hope that they take it on board, and it helps their career. Because now I'm not playing against them, and I'm not a winger. I'm not telling the other winger what to do. Maybe I wouldn't have done that to a degree. But now I'm retired, or even like as I was getting older, I would help anyone really as best I could.
Yeah, and I always say that we're helping our younger self, because when I was 18, even 21, as you rightly said, if I had that person that I would have trust, because you got a lot of
Yeah,
people around you, like they talk a lot,
yeah,
they talk that talk, but they haven't been through it. They're not expert of the game. When you have that, it's, for me, it speed the process up. And I always say to those players that also mentor sometimes, how I'm asking you, how do you deal with their, I would say, inner dialogue versus their performances? Because there's always this inner dialogue, that we always so much into our head, and
100%.
that's for me. I remember even me being who I was as a player and as a youngster, quite confident. When that internal dialogue start kicking in, it's a tough one. It's a really tough one to balance, even for the performances. So, how do you apply that to the player that you mentor today?
Yeah, well, that's a really a big ask, especially the young players, because they haven't experienced enough to understand. Actually, yeah, I know what you're going through. I know you've had a bad performance and a bad loss or whatever it is. Now you got to look at that. And I used to hate. Do you remember the videos that you used to watch on a Sunday or a Monday, and you've done something wrong, and your player's gone behind you, or something happens, it's leading to a goal or something, and you're just sat there and it's awful. But actually, I hated it. I never used to like watching it, especially if it was me. Hated it. But actually, when you sit there and watch it and you go, actually, I didn't realize it looked like either that bad, or I didn't realize I did that. Reflection on it is huge. And like I said, I didn't really like watching mistakes that I'd made, but when you watch one, you go, okay, I'm never letting that happen again, because I know what I felt when I was watching it, and I know what happened. So you can use that and be like, yep, put my hand up, that was my fault, take responsibility. But then you can learn from it, and you can next time not do that. And I've worked under some very different managers in all different stages of my career, but I remember being at West Ham with Sam Allardyce, and just in my mind, if the ball was on the right hand side and the cross was coming in, if I wasn't in that box at worst case scenario at the far post, then I was getting it. So already in my mind, I was focused. If it was there, I have to make the box. I have to. Even if I know that I'm not going to get the ball, I have to make it, because I know that that's getting picked up. And so then you start doing it, and then suddenly what happens? The ball goes, you tap it in, and you're like, oh, okay.
Works.
So there's definitely areas where just seeing things that you've not done well actually helps you. But then on the flip side of that, I used to always watch clips of myself scoring goals, taking players on, putting crosses in before the game, just to reinforce that positive mindset going into a game. So you've got to do both, and obviously the positive stuff you want to do closer and closer it comes to the game. But trying to, football's a roller coaster ride, but you just got to try and keep that level a little bit more balanced, rather than the big highs and the big lows. And that's the biggest thing that you've got to try and help these players to understand and to see.
Okay. I couldn't agree more. The CEO course. I'm interested in the CEO course.
The CEO course, yeah.
What's what's the long-term vision about that? I mean, what I mean by that is, do you see yourself in a very leadership position role within the football ecosystem, and what attracts you about that? Because I get it, but I wanna hear what's going through your mind in terms of that kind of side of the business.
Yeah, well, the thing is, yeah, I did my coaching badges at Norwich while I was injured. I did all of that, and I love the individual stuff, like to one-on-one coaching. I actually quite enjoy, but I didn't see myself as a coach or a manager at all. Maybe the individual, but not as a team coach. So I love doing the media and do all of that. That's one of my main jobs. Do the media, the punditry, and the co-commentary, which I really enjoy. But I was always intrigued to going in the other side of football, just because I think more because of my experiences within the game, which maybe probably more towards the end when I was a bit more uh, older and understood what goes on. And I found myself looking and thinking, well, I need to get educated. I need to go and understand because I know the playing side, I know the contracts and the other side, but actually how to actually run a football club and what that actually translates to, and so I was interested and wanting to know what skill base I would need uh, to try and get, I suppose, and to up my levels in to see whether that could be something that I could maneuver myself into. And yes, as answer to your question, Seb, yeah, a leadership role within a club or an organisation within sport is definitely something that I'm wanting to do or looking into because I feel I've got a lot of I've got a lot to give within all areas of it. And if you're looking on like accounting side of things, yes, I'd probably have to brush up on a few bits on the side of that. But that's where the role is maneuverable a little bit. And I've just got a lot that I want to help or give back, I suppose, and still be involved in it because that's one thing that I miss, or that's why I enjoy with the ambassador role is being in, like, we've been institutionalized for so long that actually when you retire and when you're out of it, you miss that structure and routine and just that purpose of that everyday sort of like drill, I suppose. And
Yeah.
yeah, I want to be involved in that organization and really, yeah, I'm all or nothing. I love being involved in it and then really going for it. And I really, I feel that I can help a lot of people and run a good organization.
You surely do, you surely can, and I'm sure you will. How do you see the last couple of bits? How do you see the football landscape nowadays? Obviously, people keep saying football has changed. Obviously, for me, football don't really change; it evolves. Because
Yeah.
when we started, even as a young man, it wasn't even the same, and things just start keep moving on. It's evolving.
Yes.
Because when people keep talking about changing, it's like, oh, it's
Yes.
a comparison. It was better before. It wasn't. For me, it's
Yeah.
that evolves, and that will that still
100.
keep going to evolve. But how's your view on the football landscape nowadays? Yeah, how is it? How is it?
Well, first and foremost, I agree with, it does evolve. You look back now and it goes around in circles a little bit on the playing side. You look now, Sam Allardyce must be like, what's going on? Like, I was set pieces, long throws, everything's set up. Now that it's back in.
Long the long
There was
throws
no,
up
yeah, long throw.
is baffling me. I'm like,
Incredible.
what? Are we back there?
Incredible. Yeah. I know, I know, but no, but again, it went through a thing where, like for me, there was no wingers, all inverted, coming inside. Now you can start seeing there's crosses coming back into the game. There are people that are getting wide, maybe taking the fullback on, put crosses in, which is, for me, I think that's the whole purpose of when fans go and watch a game is the excitement and people taking people on, and so that side of things is going round in circles. Really, there's always a different style of system and all of that, but I do think that it's definitely evolved, and I do think it's got much better in the other side of the game with regards to, you look at the research on like performance, just keeping the fitness levels, the stats and statistics, but not just for on the pitch, but more for training. And everyone's an athlete now. Every single player is an athlete. So the science behind it always come miles forward, which is only going to help the game because people are fitter, stronger. The technical side is coming along, and then you then work up up the ladder again when you come to the backroom staff and the way the club is run. And I think it has changed hugely. And that's purely and simply, I think we've taken a lot in the English game. We've taken a lot from the American game with regards to, we've got a lot of American owners have come over as well now and got clubs. And you just look at the pre-game events now. There's fireworks, there's flames, there's also that's American, and I think it's for the better. I think it's a whole show now. I think I quite like that. Obviously, players and that you don't see it, and it's not you're fully focused on playing. But as for the fan to see it and watch it, and everyone to be at the game before kick-off and go in and see all this, I think is a really good spectrum of the game. But then you look at now there's CEOs, there's sporting directors, there's all of these, the way that the club is run. And again, I think from a legacy of a club, you want to have the structure of your club in place. So you're looking at, like, Man United are going through all of these different things, but you look at like a club like Brighton, for instance, and you're like, right, whatever happens with any player, when any manager, coaches, whatever, that club is going to play this system or this way of playing. It doesn't matter if their best midfielder goes, the next one is ready to come in. And it's probably an unknown that no one's heard of. They come in, they've done the research, they come in, and then they're going to be a fantastic player to come into that team. And I think that database and that knowledge and the way that the clubs are set up now, I think is so much better than it was before. Because, a manager will come in we've had it. A manager to come in, plays a 4-4-2, and then next thing, manager comes in, right, we're playing a 3-5-2, we're complete all-out attack, do this, and then he gets sacked, and then that club signed all of the players for that system, and then another manager comes in who wants to play a different system. None of them players can play in that system, and then you've got to rotate all the squads, and it's financially not good enough for a club, but also it's so unstable for a player or coaches or whoever it is at the club. Everything just needs to run in sync, and I think that is definitely improved with the structure of a club now.
Okay. To close us off, what do you want to be remembered for, and what do you want your impact to be?
Okay. What do I want to be remembered for? I want to be remembered for getting bums off seats, in stadiums. My directness, being able to take, not really turning the opportunity down to take a player on and to either get a shot away or put a cross in. I think that's what I really enjoyed about playing football. I loved that thrill of being on the pitch and taking someone on and having that feeling of getting past someone and getting a cross or a shot in. And because I was on the wing, you can feel it. The crowd, you can just feel them get off their seat a little bit, and that's what I want to, I suppose, be remembered for. I think on that side of playing. And what was the second part?
What's the legacy that you want to keep?
Legacy. There's a couple of little things. Everyone goes, "Nice guys finish last," but I feel like I'm trying to I've been authentic throughout my whole career, and I still think that maybe if I was a little bit nastier or so, maybe I could have gone a bit and done whatever. But actually, I'm really happy with the way that I conducted myself all the way through, and I want to be that genuine person that's been the same throughout their career. So that legacy of just being me, not being a sheep or a follower, and trying to navigate my way through. I think I've been genuine the whole way through.
That's pretty authentic, and that's a nice way to finish us off. Thank you very much, Jarvo. You know what? It's been an absolute pleasure for me. Yeah, you were bombing them down the line, then you still sharp, you still bubbly, you still very authentic, and that's what we want. That's not the player that makes the man, that's the man that makes the player, and you're a wonderful man. So it was Matt Jarvis in the Players Lounge for Football Business, where the game gets down to business. Thank you very much. See you next time, guys. Bye bye.